All right, I'm talking to a guy yesterday, and he describes his experience as being like a leaf floating in the breeze. And for him, this was a metaphor to describe feeling lost and confused and without direction. Okay? Me, as a coach, I got very excited. This tells me some very important things. He's in touch with his feeling, and he can even put it into poetry or metaphor to describe what it is. This gives us so much to work with. All right? So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make a video to describe how you can work with this situation if you're in a place or have ever been or know of someone who can be in a place of just feeling a bit lost. You just don't quite have that direction that you're looking for. Here's a process, and I'm going to kind of do a little teaching, and then we'll do a little bit of practice to show you what you can do if you're in that place of feeling just a bit life lost, a bit like he was describing, like a leaf floating in the breeze. All right? So one of the things that you can start to think of are the different examples or flavors of feeling lost. There are so many different ways in life we can feel lost, right? One, for example, could be you're like with a bunch of friends in a corn maze. You're running around, it's like fun and challenging. Oh my gosh, that person might win. I want to win. Like there's that sort of camaraderie, fun, challenge, excitement in it, right? It's not truly panicked or like heart-sinking feeling. It's more just like in the excitement of it, okay? That's one example. Another example, you're walking through the woods, you're on a hike, you start to see the same thing over and over, and you realize with, again, that sinking sensation, oh, I'm lost, right? And you're like lost in a spot, in a wild place, not knowing how to get out, all right? That's a second example. A third example could be if you're driving and you got your GPS and you're like hitting refresh and it won't go, it's just that spinning wheel. And you're like, oh my gosh, I should have left earlier. I knew this wouldn't work. What am I going to do? And you're in that like, ooh, regretful, kind of like panicky, scared, nervous, lost while driving around kind of feeling. All right, now that we all got into those icky, lost feelings, now we're going to actually work with that, I promise, okay? All right, so let's look at those three experiences and think of like, all right, well, what do you do if you're in those experiences? How might you work with those, all right? And like with the corn maze, just be light about it, right? Be like, this is fun. I know I'm going to be okay, right? Like there's not an actual danger to me. This is fun with friends. You get to kind of feel that excitement, but you're not attached to it in an afraid, fear-based kind of way. Okay, cool. Thank you. Helpful example. Interesting, right? Number 2, for that one where you're in the woods. All right, what do you actually do in that situation? All right, well, you're going to start thinking, all right, how much water do I have left? When is the sun going down? Are there any helpful markers around? Are there any helpful big bodies of water I can orient myself around, right? And you're going to want to stay calm, right? You want to stay calm so that your brain and your body can be clear, so that as you're walking, you're going to be able to find any clues to help you get back. You want to be really open to those, all right? So you're calm, you're clear-minded, and you're trying to stay like really open to figuring out clues for getting back. Cool, helpful, all right? We'll work with that in a little bit. And then the third example is the one with the GPS, right? With the spinning wheel. It's like, all right, what are my options here, right? Is this a place with no service? Is there a place potentially near here that I know of that I could get to? Is there a way I can try to get service? If not, who can I ask for help, right? You're in this place of either like figuring out how to get your GPS to work or asking a person for help, a stranger for help, and figuring out how you can get out that way, right? Driving around more, you got to just keep at it, right? You got to keep at it. You got to figure it out. You want to stay calm so you're safe driving and figure out a way that you can problem solve to get help so that either your GPS starts working or you get the directions from a person, okay? All of those situations, right, it would be helpful to have a strategy to get out of them. You're in an uncomfortable, kind of scary situation in the second and third examples, and you need to stay, again, calm and clear-eyed to try to figure out your way out. All right. So we're going to use that in a little bit. But first I want to talk about when you're in that life lost, right? Like that leaf floating in the breeze. When you're in that situation, actually one of the big things and the reason you might feel lost is because you don't know where you're going. That's the whole thing. You feel like a leaf flowing in the breeze without knowing its destination, right? So what can we do about that in this situation where whether you're in a corn maze or you're out in the woods or you're driving your car, you actually know the physical destination you're trying to get to. That's very helpful actually in this. You have a place that's going to tell you, I made it, right? But we don't have that in the life lost, right? We don't have sort of that luxury of having a finite point to say, I made it. That's part of what's contributing to you feeling like you're lost, all right? So we're going to do a process to help you find that destination. It's not going to be an actual physical brain-based destination. It's going to be something a little different, all right? If you've made it this far, great job. We're now going to do a process to help you with that, all right? And it's a process that gets you into your feelings. All right, again, hang in there with me. See if you're just open and willing to give this a try. It's going to involve your feelings and it's going to involve your imagination. All right, and you might hear a little dinging in the background. That's my sweet dog Piper hanging out in the office with me. Okay, so whenever we're going to do an exercise, I like to take deep breaths. Breath and breathing helps to move feelings along and get clear about feelings. All right? So what I want you to do first is I want you to just take a deep breath. If you want to, you can close your eyes. I sometimes like to put my hand on my heart, another hand on my belly, and just help me get into my body where I can feel my feelings better. Okay, when I'm up in my mind, all the thoughts get so jumbly and I don't have access to my feelings. But again, when yesterday he was telling me about how he was feeling and even putting that metaphor of the leaf with it, he was right there in his feelings. So we're going to go there, okay? Feel that feeling of being lost. I know it's not comfortable, but I'm here with you, right? You can do this. Feel that feeling of feeling lost and notice where it is in your body. Where do you feel it? Is it like a heaviness in your heart? Is it in your belly? Your shoulders? Up here like a buzzing in your head? What is it like? That feeling of feeling lost. Where do you notice that it lives in your body? Okay, so just be there with it for a moment and notice different qualities about it, right? This is a way to observe the feeling. So the feeling doesn't become all of you, it's just a thing that you're observing, which is a powerful process. Like, okay, feeling of being lost. Where do you live in my body? And then what qualities can I describe that you have? Are you round? Are you like a big, solid, heavy cube? Do you have movement around you? Are you really stuck in place? Do you have a color? Do you say anything? Do you speak, right? Whatever it is, like just give some space for that feeling. Okay? And also just saying, sometimes some people it's is really easy for them and it can be more challenging for others. That's totally fine. In my practice, I work with people through these kinds of feelings all the time. So if this is something that you'd like to have more facilitated, I'm happy to do that with you. But as you're feeling those feelings, you're noticing, okay, this is that feeling of being lost, of feeling lost. This is where it lives in my body. And these are a few characteristics about it. Great job. Okay, that's your starting point. Now we're going to take a shift, all right? Again, hang in there with me. See if you can make this leap with me. Now, we are going to imagine, right, using your imagination, you are going to imagine that you feel purposeful, that you feel like you have direction. I know, this is like, what? I just told you I feel lost. Well, what I'm describing is the opposite of feeling lost. So it's like the other side of the coin. Okay, if you got so clear about how it feels to be lost, good job, uncomfortable, but progress, okay? From there, you can hold on to, all right, what is the opposite of that feeling? I even change where I'm standing, right? It's like, all right, what's the opposite of that feeling of being lost? What is the feeling now of feeling purposeful, like I have direction? Where do I feel that in my body? Is it up in my chest? Is it in that spot right underneath my ribs? Is it in my belly? Is it in my shoulders? What do I feel? I'm imagining I feel purposeful. I know nothing in your life has changed. The puzzle pieces still feel lost. But we're going to this place of imagination right now to create the feeling of it to gain information. All right? Hang in there. So it's like, all right, I feel purposeful. I feel like I have direction. I feel confidence. I can get where I want to go. All right, where do you feel that in your body? What does that feel like? Does it have movement? What shape is it in? What color does it have? Notice those things and allow yourself to open to that possibility. Even if you feel like you're not getting anywhere in this, know that you just being with me as I'm going through this process is helpful. All right? Even if it's like you're like not into it or whatever, you're still here. You know, like hang in there. All right? Things are moving even if they're not evident in the moment. All right? All right. So with that, this is what I want to say. What you just did is you created an anchor. An anchor is like your destination, right? In the corn maze, in the walking through the woods, in the GPS examples, we knew what the final destination was. Your anchor here of feeling that sense of purpose, feeling like you have direction, that becomes an anchor and a feeling that you're working towards, all right? And it sends a really clear message to that feeling of being lost that it's not the only possible feeling to feel. You just exhibited that it's possible to imagine and to hold a space of feeling like you know your direction, you have a direction, and you feel purposeful. All right? That is a really important and awesome start. All right? It's getting some movement going. All right? Then from there, we use those other examples to help us. Well, what helped us there? We needed to stay calm. Right? We don't go into disaster thinking. Oh my gosh, I'll always feel this way. This always happens to me. We don't need to be in self-sabotage. That wouldn't help. If I'm driving and I'm just constantly like, oh my gosh, why did you do this? You left too late. You always do this. But that's not going to help me find my way. All right? Instead, it's going to be like, all right, what are my options? What can I do? Do I have enough gas? What can I do to get my GPS working? What can I do to find out my directions, right? You just got to be pragmatic about it, right? Once you have that destination and that anchor, you can bring in some of that pragmatic problem solving pieces, being clear-eyed so you can spot the clues along the way. While you're in the woods, you got to stay calm so you can see what's around you and see what the options are. All right? So that was the exercise I really wanted to bring you through. And I want to really bring home the point that when you know you're feeling, even if it's uncomfortable and not where you want to end up, know the feeling you're in now. And again, if you have some kind of imagery, poetry, metaphor to describe it, it gives you so much to work with in getting your way out. All right? Example, the leaf floating in the breeze can feel lost. It's also possible to be in wide-eyed wonder at nature and the world. Look at that leaf falling. Eckhart Tolle talks about it like a possibility as a pathway to bliss and expansive wonder, right? That metaphor that you feel is one that you can use to help you create an anchor, of the opposite feeling, and then from there, use your problem-solving skills to take things one step at a time. I know this doesn't answer all the questions of what to do when you're lost, but the idea was to give you a little bit of movement. All right? If this is helpful, if you'd like to learn more, if a bunch of questions came up, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.